prisoners coming through at Little Switch, was there anything about them that surprised you, any oddities?
I think it surprised me in the first instance that they didn't, on the whole, appear to be as excited as I had anticipated they would. They didn't seem to show very much emotion about being released. They seemed to be lacking in smiles, which I found difficult to accept. And I think conversation was, I found, a little difficult. When I look back and think of the different reaction from the one I had at Big Switch, I realised how much more difficult it was, although it didn't last nearly as long, for Little Switch. That lasted a comparatively short time. I can't recollect, but I think it was probably over in about a week. But they seemed to me just not to be terribly responsive in any way.
All right. Can I ask you about the men once you were back with them in Kuri? The sorts of reactions to being free. I'm not talking about immediate reactions once freed, but once they'd had a few days, the sorts of things that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
The reactions.
Well, if I go back a bit before Kuri, I mentioned the fact that I travelled down each evening with the last batch of ex-prisoners to Britannia Camp. And I spent the evening there with them, along with my other Red Cross colleagues. And we literally stayed with them. There was some form of entertainment. There was a Scots band, and we fed with them. We had drinks with them. Some of them wanted to go quietly away and talk about things. Others didn't want to talk about things at all. And there must have been 4 or 5 of us there. So we were free to sit with them in groups, just playing it by ear. Later on, when the whole thing was over and they were down at Kuri at base, and I saw many of them again, I wouldn't have believed in that short space of time that some of them could be so different. A few days, a week of freedom and in a different atmosphere had relaxed them enormously. And I must say that I felt it was all worthwhile, and I felt much happier, and I thought that things could only get better and better for them.
Going to your reaction to this difference in states between, say, Britannia Camp and Kuri, did you form any kind of impression as to the kind of time that they'd had in prisoner of war camps?
Well, I did. I knew that some of them had had a very tough time, and I knew this because some of them had mentioned people by name when I first met them at Mun San Ni. So I knew what some of them had been through. And when we were at Britannia Camp, just mixing socially with them, having a drink, having the evening meal, we didn't broach the subject. But if anyone wished to talk about it, we simply listened and we said how awful, you know, I do feel sorry for you. And beyond that, one didn't participate. Our main job there, as I saw it, was to be somebody outside the military, outside the services, to whom these people could talk, could let off steam initially, and relax. Because later on, obviously, all of them were going to be interrogated and have to talk about things that weren't very nice. And so initially, I suppose the Red Cross members, in a way, were the first, but they could, you know, they could release their feelings and know that nothing was going to happen as a result of it, and that we were quite divorced from service discipline.